Last Monday, the South-South Geo-Political Zone resolved to set up a regional security outfit for the 6 states that make up the zone. The decision by the governors who met in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, comes at a time when the country is going through very trying security challenges. Prior to this development, at least 2 other geopolitical zones in the country, the Southwest and the Southeast, had floated similar regional security organs to varying degrees of operational success. Amotekun, the Southwest Joint Security Body, was put in place in January 2020 in the wake of bloody bandit attacks, herders farmers clashes, abductions for ransom, and other violent crimes in the zone, most of which were traceable to external infiltrators. Its operators say the level of insecurity has dropped in the region since the operation came into force. The Southeast governors similarly set up Ebubeagwu to combat the gale of insecurity sweeping through that region, and when it appeared that the outlawed group, the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, had overwhelmed the Nigerian security forces in that part of the country. But unlike Amotekun, Ebubeagwu has failed to live up to the expectations of the people of the zone. In fact, it is yet to get off the ground, making it just one of those political pronouncements with nothing to show for. Violent attacks and killings by the so-called unknown gunmen remain prevalent in the southeastern states, so much so that it is threatening not only the economy of the region, but the conduct of the November 6th Anambra governorship election. And now comes the braised states of Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Edo, and Delta with their own version of a joint security outfit. This is against the backdrop of the existence of individual states' security organs. So, what form or model will this joint security architecture take? Will it integrate all the existing state structures, or disband them and put in place an independent system? What will be the legal and political control structure of the organ in a complex region as the Niger Delta? Does the region really need such a structure? And how far can it go if it does? Beyond security, the Braised Council also dwelt on other issues affecting the Niger Delta states, such as the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA, the NDDC Board and Forensic Audit Investigation Report, relocation of NNPC and International Oil Company's headquarters to the region, and the collection of value-added tax, VAT, by states.
1. Bearing in mind that most of the braised states have established their state security organs, we approve the regional security architecture, which will be launched very soon. 2. Unequivocally supports the decision for states to collect value-added tax and resolve to join the suit before the Supreme Court, or that the amendment should include a clear definition of host communities and that the trustees should be appointed by state governments. 4. Council called upon the President and the federal government to uphold the law establishing the Niger Delta Development Commission by appropriately constituting its board. In addition, it expressed the hope that the federal government would make the forensic audit report public and deal justly and fairly with the report with a view to strengthening the capacity of NDDC to meet its obligations to the people of the region.
Well, we shall look at all of these as we interact with the Director General of the South-South Governors Forum, Ambassador Joe Keshi. Now, the threat by Nigeria's Attorney General and Minister of Justice that the federal government might consider declaring a state of emergency in Anambra State just about a month before the November 6 governorship election has alarmed many persons and ruffled many feathers. Different interpretations have been given to this pronouncement, even as President Muhammadu Buhari is quoted to have disowned his justice minister on this matter. But what is the intended purpose? What is the security implication of such a threat? To scare and whip the perpetrators of violence into line? To prepare the grounds for possible electoral arm twisting? Is the situation in Anambra beyond the control of federal security forces to warrant a resort to a state of emergency to deal with? Whose interest will be served by a state of emergency? Is Anambra the worst hit state by the insecurity in the country today? We shall be joined by a security analyst, retired Colonel Leo Abara, who will be joining us virtually from the UK. Stay with us. When we return, we shall get to meet our guest analysts. All right, thank you so much for staying with us. People, politics, and power. I'm joined in the studio here by Ambassador Joe Keshi. Ambassador Keshi is the Director General of the South-South Governors Forum. Thank you, Ambassador, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
We are also joined virtually by Colonel Leo Abara. Colonel Abara is a security analyst and is joining us virtually from the United Kingdom. Thank you so much, Colonel Abara, for joining us.
Thank you very much, Imani.
Welcome. All right, so let's begin from here in the studio, Ambassador Keshi. The South-South Governors Forum, at this meeting on Monday, decided on a number of issues. But of particular interest, which was reported widely, is a decision to put together and launch a joint security outfit. How far has the forum, the brave states as they are called now, how far have they gone with this venture?
Again, thanks for having me here. The media reported a decision of the council, the British Governors Council, with regard to the security architecture, as if this is the first time the governors will be making that pronunciation. It is not the first time. In March last year, they took a decision that this is what they would do. And they asked the commission, to look at, what kind of security architecture they should put in place. In the meantime, and I think I say this with credit to the governors of the region, a decision was made to approach this from bottom up, rather than from the top to the bottom, as it was in the Southwest, where the announcement was made about the creation of Amotekun, and everybody was asked, go home and start, But no, what has happened in the South-South is that almost every state in the South-South has, over the last 1 year, put in place its own security outfits. They're existing, they are working, and if you remember, the only place they had some little challenges was in Rivers State, when they announced the creation of the Neighborhood Watch. And they were training the men and the women when the military invaded the camp and disbanded the training camp. And of course, the Rivers State government went to court and won the case. It's instituted against the government. So you find that whether in Bayelsa or in Rivers or in Edo, there is an element of a security organ. Now, what they've decided to do is that, yes, this is functioning as best as it can, but there was a need for cooperation and collaboration. You know, there was a need to establish a synergy between these organs because, you know, you'll find out that there are a lot of cross-border crimes. You know, for example, if you take the issue of cults in that part of the world, it began in Port Harcourt and has spread to almost all, I mean, not to almost, to all parts of the state. But yet, the origin was somewhere in Port Harcourt during the period of the restiveness. And so the whole idea was that, yes, let's begin by creating our little organ. Let's build up a kind of superstructure that will help also look at these structures, establish cooperation, establish synergy, establish collaboration, and set the standard for the operation of this outfit. Because one thing that featured throughout in the conversation, and I want to say it here that is true, nobody knows the way things are going in this country. These organs could actually be the forerunner to the establishment of the state police. So if a decision is made to establish the state police today, states in the South will not have any challenge at all because they already have something on the ground that they can build upon.
So all the 6 states have their own security organs. And,
to a large extent,
and
yes.
This will just be a superstructure kind of...
A superstructure
yes,
kind of that, yes, that will work with them to ensure the general security of the region.
So when is it likely to be formally launched? Because as you mentioned, in the case of the Southwest with Amotekun,
no date has been given for this because there are still a number of things that we need to put in place, and that's what the Commission will try and do between now and when the decision is taken to launch the to put in place the security architecture, the regional architecture.
Will the states, or will each of the states, or indeed the Braised Council, be going the direction of the Southwest, where the states were asked to go and get their state houses of assembly to enact laws?
I think actually,
these, or
they
are
have
going to fall back.
No, we've gone past that. We've gone past that. In a number of these states, the laws have been passed and the organs running. So that's not really a big deal for us anymore. We've gone past that. It's just working at that apex, at that level of regional cooperation to set up what could become a kind of superstructure that provides some guidance and experience to some of these organizations, to some of these security outfits.
So in other words, Ambassador, we are looking at a situation where possibly there might not be a name for that superstructure.
No, there will be a name. We were tasked with finding a name that could truly reflect what we are trying to do in the region. And I know you're from that part of the world as well. So if you can help us with finding a name, we'll be most grateful.
Well, that's okay. We'll try and see if we can find a name there. But again, you look at how it has played out in the Southwest and in the Southeast. In the case of the Southwest, where there has been some relative success in putting this together. In the Southeast, it has hardly taken off. So is there likely going to be, in that kind of superstructure that we are thinking of, a body that would then be regulating the activities of the various organs that they have in each of these states?
I really don't know exactly what kind of structure the Southeast is looking at. But one thing I can point out to, look, today I think that to a large extent, one could say that the South-South is relatively the most peaceful, with less, not that there are no security challenges, but they are not as much as in the news as like Southeast or the rest of the country, because the organs in place are doing the best they can to curtail some of these security, And by the way, these are hybrid organizations or organs, that also work in cooperation with the police. And that's the beauty of, what has been happening in the region.
With the federal police.
With the federal police, yes.
And other security
And other
organs.
security agencies, yes.
Okay. Well, let's turn to Colonel Leo Abara. Colonel, you have heard the DG talk about the model that is beginning to be envisaged for the South-South security outfit. For you, the decision to set up a security outfit in the South-South, is it borne out by experiences from other regions of the country? And do you think that the model that they are envisaging will be the best to follow through?
Well, I am not a fan of regional outfits and accommodation of vigilantes or violent non-state actors within the space of Nigerian states. But you cannot blame them for setting up some of these structures. It is because of the absence of the state structure. And then the people have to resort to self-help. Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, we are. We are hearing you loud and clear.
Yes. So you cannot blame anybody for setting up these structures. But personally, as a professional and as a veteran, I know the consequences and the long-term effect of establishment of some of these structures. They have come to be, and some of them have been put in place by laws, meaning that they're not going away very soon, under the glare of the federal government. I know from experience that some of these structures will grow into something that we don't understand. I've seen it. It happened in Yugoslavia. It happened in Lebanon. And gradually, Nigeria is compartmentalized in security-wise. The people are now taking security, they are now resorting to self-help. And I'm sure some of these structures may not be accommodated in the long run. But I urge the Nigerian state to wake up to its responsibilities of protecting the people. These structures, like I've said, emerge because of failure of security in some of these areas. Whether Bubago, whether it's Amateku, or what is going on in the South today, is because of the absence of protection of the people in these areas. But how long will these security structures exist? Are they going to be accommodated? Well, I doubt. But for now, they are necessary structures. But like I've heard from Ambassador Keshi, that this might be a forerunner to maybe establishment of state police in time to come. Some of us are not apostles of state police for now. It might make sense academically, but in practice, it may not work too well. But I think the federal government should wake up and take its space as assigned to it by the Westphalian Treaty of 1648. Within this space called Nigeria, the Nigerian state has the monopoly of coercive force. If it is going to be shared, I foresee a lot of problems in future. But that is not to say that people should not help themselves. Like I've said, it is because of the failure of the state that these things are coming up. But I'm not a fan of these structures.
Now, isn't this a feature of, talking about state police and these structures that are beginning to spring up, are they not features of true federalism?
Yeah, if you look at, on paper, the establishment of state police is very, very good. But if you look at the mentality and the political characters of those who are going to handle them, I foresee a lot of violence, and I foresee that they may outlive their usefulness. They may sound very, very credible and fantastic, on paper, academically, but I don't think we have the political managers. Their mentality may not be able to handle state police. And you cannot recruit people, give them guns, and give them coercive power, and you don't pay them well. And from experience, I've been in this profession for a long time. Most Nigerians, immediately you give them coercive power, they begin to oppress their own people, whether federal, whether it's state or whatever. So I urge that we should tread with caution in this area. If it means making the federal structure more professional, equipping them better, and then giving them a task, timed task. If you are not performing, you should be removed. There's no need of keeping service chiefs long if they're not performing. If the commander-in-chief gives them a task, look, we need a calm within Nigeria within the next 120 days. If you don't perform, you get out. That's how it's supposed to be. But some of these structures springing out will not go away. I know from my experience in Lebanon and Yugoslavia, these things are not good signs. That's the way I see it.
All right. Ambassador, you may want to respond to some of the issues that have been thrown up there. There are fears that some of these structures, if and when they take root, may never go away. And if they are not properly maintained, it may just become a liability to the state and to the people at the end of the day.
I can understand and relate to where he's coming from. For those of us who grew up in Southwest, in a place like Ibadan, and I guess for some who grew up in the North, there were some elements of local policing, under the First Republic before it collapsed, and it was disbanded, regrettably by the military. And the point is raising about the inability or lack of capacity, the issue of discipline about these forces is true. But here is my take on all this. The truth of the matter is that as it is today, the federal government do not have the capacity or the capability to run, a national police force as it is. Whether in terms of the provision of, working tools, whether, in terms of managing the police itself, whether in terms of the population, the number of the police force itself. I don't know whether it was on your, on your studio, on your TV or another network that Chijoke, the former road marshal, analyze the situation of the police and how much, the police is paid, the population of the police. And when you look at it, you begin to wonder exactly, what's going on. And in the meantime, the states also, as of today, the states are helping a lot in trying to provide working tools, materials. Every now and then you hear one state governor or the other announcing the provision or the donation of vehicles and other things to, the formation, federal police on its ground and things like that. And the situation of security is such that the way it is going today, the federal government needs help. And only the states, in my view, can actually help, because they also have their own security budgets that they can put in place to take care of some issues. What we need to do is to ensure that that cooperation between these organs and the Nigerian police, is consolidated. Because sometimes in where you have the organs operating in some states of the region, they actually go on patrol together. And when these other people, the local institutions or organs, when they have information that are very crucial, they pass it on to the police and jointly work together, to address the problem. I think what we should bear in mind, how do we make these organs functional and disciplined? Well, he's right. the issue of, one of the fundamental issues facing security organizations in Nigeria today is the issue of discipline. Remember many years ago, if you ever read How to Be a Nigerian, Peter Nahru said in that beautiful small pamphlet that if you give a Nigerian a table, a chair, and a telephone, you have created a dictator. It's worse today. Anybody you give a uniform to, not to talk of the police in this country or to talk of the military, it's a problem. But it is the absence of discipline, which is also a failure of leadership. And it is not only in the police force or in the military that you have this indiscipline. It is in almost all our institutions. So you cannot just single out one institution and say, no, because there will be absence of discipline, this is, no. We just must continue to try to ensure that when these organizations are put in place, that they are made strong, they are made to be disciplined, that the materials to work with are provided. It is not institutions, strong institutions do not just grow up by their own. It is individuals, the quality, the character, the knowledge of the leadership that makes the institutions strong and effective. If you go back to history or to go back to some other, why is the FBI strong today? Because of Hoover, the first guy who, that really transformed the organization and made it what it is today. And if we can do the same in this country, I think it will be to the benefit of the nation. But we must accept one thing. As it is today, the federal government in terms of security needs help. And anybody who thinks that's not true, is not living in the real world of what the condition is, what the situation is today in Nigeria. In a federation, where he lives in London, he knows very well that there's no central police. Policing goes as low as in the local council, not just the local government as we call it here. It goes down to the council level, where they have all kinds of names for the police, leadership. And that's what we should try to create here, no matter what it takes to make it effective, to make it disciplined. All is in the effort to ensure that there's security in this country at all levels. Look, when government was introduced, the first business of government was security. The rest, welfare and the rest, came much, much, much later. Security was the primary essence of government. And so a government that cannot provide security, it's not worth being called a government. And so if others come in to say, okay, let's expand the security network, the security architecture, so that it could actually permit. Look, if you go around this country, when you leave the capital cities and maybe one or two other towns, in some areas there are completely no element of policing. And if you read some of the reports that are coming out in a place like Zamfara, why this banditry has grown and become intractable, one strong argument that has been made in all the readings I've seen is the fact that there was completely absence of policing or governance in all those areas. And so the bandits just grew on their own, took over the whole place and began to...
The so-called ungoverned spaces.
Spaces. Mm. So when you have these state security organs and they're able to go down to that level, whereby they can also provide, assistance to the police and then the traditional rulers are involved, it will probably help us, maintain some stability. And we need it for, look, we need security in this country. That's period. There's no argument about that.
Colonel Abara, let's look at it this way. The situation on ground in Nigeria today is one that actually requires all hands to be on deck. Now, the reality is that there is insecurity in almost every part, almost every region, every state of Nigeria today. And if these structures are beginning to be put in place, are beginning to spring up, to ensure that there is some modicum of security in our daily lives, what do you think ought to be done to strengthen the structures that are being put in place now and to avoid a situation where they are abused?
Yeah, let me just add to what Ambassador Kishi said. Nigeria state has the capacity. They have the capacity to secure the Nigerian state, but they don't have the capability right now to do that. And as a professional, I know that the capabilities of, the capacity of this country, if it is put in full swing, devoid of political strengths and whatever, this insecurity that is spreading throughout the country can be caged within 120 days. I'm not talking about weeks. I'm talking about days. I know it is possible that this thing can be arrested within 120 days if we push our capacity and capability into full swing. But I don't know what is going on, why it has not been optimized. But be that as it may, let me remind Ambassador Keshi, we were together in Sierra Leone, and he saw this particular outfit in Sierra Leone. They called them the Kamajos. And when the Kamajos came up, it was like this, to help the Sierra Leone army to combat insecurity. But gradually, it became stronger than the military. Gradually, it removed the military. And you know about Mr. Hinga Norman, who was the head of the Kamajos. They became more powerful than the Sierra Leone army. Let me remind us again about this kind of outfits. They grew up in Rwanda before the genocide. They were called the Interahamwe. The Interahamwe participated actively in the genocide and the destabilization of the Rwandan state. So back to Nigeria. These outfits are springing up from different geopolitical zones. So who is going to coordinate them into the national mainstream objective of security? You could see that some of them, most of them are loyal to those who set them up. And I can still see the Kamajos in them. I can still see the Interahamwes in them. What we can do, let us not lose hope on the Nigerian security structure. I urge the federal government to put in place a monitoring and evaluation structure of the security forces, be it defense, internal security, or intelligence. But it may not be like this in the next 2 or 3 years. But for now, these outfits may secure their regions, but who is going to coordinate them into the central objective? Who is going to monitor them? Who is going to evaluate them? Who is going to take charge of them? It's a lot of problems. History tells me that this is not a good development. But I stand to be corrected anyway. But for what is going on right now, I think it has become necessary for some people in some regions. I must confess. The security forces are not doing their best. And I want to ask, why are they existing if they cannot secure the Nigerian space? If there are ungoverned spaces? If these kind of structures are coming up to help their people? So why are they existing? Now, let me just make mention of another thing Ambassador said. Local police existed in the 60s and, in the 60s. But look at what happened in the Western region, how they used them. Look at how they used them in Kano. Look at the history of those local police. And then look at the mentality and the political characters of those that are in charge, going to be in charge of these outfits. It is those who pay them that will control them. And I'm afraid most of them that control them don't have the calmness to handle a coercive group of men. That is my take on that. But I want to look at a bigger picture, Emmanuel, a bigger picture. What is happening in Nigeria today as a bigger picture. What you are seeing is the small part of the bigger picture. But I'll come to that later.
All right. So thank you so much, Colonel. Ambassador, that, of course, will lead me to my next question. The fact that the Niger Delta is a very complex region. Unlike possibly the southwest and the southeast, where there's some level of homogeneity, the Niger Delta region is not as homogeneous as these other regions. So it's a complex region. So the question then arises as to what the political and legal structures will be that would help in controlling these new security outfits that will be put in place, so as to avoid a situation that Connor is talking about, where those who formed them are the ones that they will be loyal to.
No. First, I think I want to remind Cornell that I don't know, I'm trying to remember the Rwandan incident, but the one he made mention about in
Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone is completely different and has little or no relevance to what we are discussing here. You know, again, for two reasons. You know, number one, it began as like a local militia that was set up to defend the area where it started from. Okay, and eventually the leader of that group was appointed the Minister of Defense, or the Minister of State for Defense, because the President of Sierra Leone is always the Minister of Defense. So the leader of that, the guy who established the Kamajos, became the Minister of
State for Defense.
Of Defense. And naturally, because the war was still on, and the national army had failed and was actually, divided in a way and manner that it was difficult to find, to point out which was the Sierra Leonean army and which was what people later began to call Sobel. That's soldiers who have become rebels as well. And furthermore, when the whole thing broke down, the fact that the Kamajos became stronger was also as a result of the fact that forces on the ground, like the Nigerian military that was trying to help the country, also had to use them in order to be able to restore the peace you find today. So it's a little bit more complex than the way he has explained it, but it's not like our own situation in this country, my dear Colonel. But to answer your question directly, I think that there should be no apprehension about the fact that the organs or the security outfits in the state will be loyal to those who created them. In 2 years' time, the governors who created these organizations are going to leave office, number one. So a new set of administrators, will take over. So the issue of loyalty will probably not be there. But when you come to talk of issue of loyalty, when you look at the Nigerian police itself, when you look at its history, it was created right from day one to protect its creator, the colonial administration. And that has remained the mentality of the Nigerian police today, to protect the government in power. So the same fears you are expressing about, these mini organs, you could also say the same thing for the Nigerian police. But my position is that, look, what we're trying to do in the region will not affect, the fears you're experiencing will not really play out. Yes, as different as they are, as complex as they are, each state is managing its own outfit. It is helping to provide security in that area, and it is working with the Nigerian police and other intelligence agencies. So where these ones cannot get to, because they know the terrain, because they understand the terrain, they do go in, they do provide information to the Nigerian police, intelligence report, and the rest of it. And so it's a kind of collaborative practice that you find on the ground. And the fact that as of today, it is working relatively well in everywhere it has been launched. It's a credit to the, I mean, it's a pointer to the fact that with more efforts, you know, with more correction of whatever is perceived to be wrong now, that a very strong unit can be put in place. And when I spoke of the fact that this could be a forerunner to the state police, what I meant was that even at their discussion, the governors were very conscious of the fact that they needed to put in place a well-disciplined organ that would not, you know, create problems, not just for them, but for the society. You know, sometimes when you create motor traffic, you know, and you stop them with political talks, as it has been done in some parts of the country, and another governor comes in, people are complaining, these guys are, you know, they disband them. No. Care is being taken about who is recruited into some of these, you know. But some of the points he has raised, it's a matter of how do we address these basic problems that in terms of security. We cannot sit back and say, oh, because of this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. We watch our country go down the drain as it is. We must also recognize, yeah, he's right. If there is that will, that political will and the determination to end this crisis, if the federal government can end it in 120 days, I'm sure we always say hallelujah. We'll all celebrate. But the truth of the matter is that we've been on this for more than 10 years. We've been on this for more than 10 years.
And it's growing bigger by the day.
And it's growing bigger by the day. So we must find a way to, well, talking of nipping it in the bud is out of the question. We just must find a way to deal with this situation. And I think that if everybody begins to go, it is not, forces are not being put on the ground as a challenge or as a counterbalance, you know, to the federal government. No. In fact, I think the greatest mistake, part of the mistake that, I mean, part of the tragedy of what we are going through now is that, remember how strong the mobile police, how strong it was in the 60s before the first coup. It was destroyed by the military. And this is part of it because today we have destroyed the military to an extent that if we have an external attack, we'll probably be more challenged. Because what the military is doing today, unfortunately, is not what they were created to do. And that's because of the absence of organs like the mobile police that was destroyed in the 60s. And what you now have, they're a shadow of themselves, you know. In fact, I don't even know whether they exist anymore, but I do hear Mopol. But I see them more around the leaders carrying guns and following personalities. That was not what they were created to do. They were very effective in the old Western region and in Ibadan, where I grew up. They were the first point, I mean, they're the first responder in any crisis at all, in any violent crisis. It's when they fail or they could no longer, or it has overgrown them, the military is brought in to support them, not for the military to take over. You remember some time ago, the military issued one of the craziest statements I've heard from the military. They said they were going to the southeast to take care of kidnappers. For goodness sake, how can somebody write that for the military, that they were going to take care of kidnappers? That's not the job. That's the job of the police, not the military.
All right. Colonel, let me come back to you. In spite of the existence of these organs, these security organs, almost every state in the southeast, for instance, has its own security organ. In spite of their existence in each of those states, today we are witnessing what the phenomenon known as the unknown gunmen. Violence, killings, kidnappings, abductions for ransom, and what have you taking place in that part of the country. You record that at a stage in our national life, I think it was under military president Ibrahim Babangida, that a national guard was put in place. But of course, that also fizzled out. Now, what do we then need to do to get back on track? The Anambra governorship election is just about a month away, less than a month actually from today. And there are threats from the federal level of a possible state of emergency in order to get the elections going. And of course, you know all the interpretations and meanings that are being read into this.
Emmanuel, what is happening in the Southeast is unfortunate. And the approach of the military, like Ambassador Keshi has said, to me is they need to do more. I believe sincerely that the Nigerian security forces can do better with the mobile police, the regular police, the intelligence, or whatever. They can do more. But as it is now, in the absence of the optimal performance, some of these regional outfits have become necessary. But for the unknown gunmen, we are piling up words and terms that were not there in the 90s. Today we have terrorists, we have bandits, added up again, we have kidnappers. Now we have unknown gunmen. Both known and unknown gunmen are evading the Nigerian space in the presence of Nigerian security forces. I think that the federal structure has failed. I have no apologies to that. And it failed because of maybe generational change. But what is obvious today is that they're not doing their jobs very well. And I can ascribe that as a professional, I can ascribe that to lack of good combat training, discipline, professionalism, their way of recruitment, and above all, the part the judiciary is playing is not equally good. Some of these things are castrating and working against the efforts of these security outfits. For example, if the police lose 2 or 3 people to capture a criminal and try to bring that person to justice, it takes years for them to be tried in the judiciary. And most of those policemen have died. And most of these things affect the security people. Now, for the Anambra governorship election coming up on the November 6th. Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. So for the election coming up on the 6th in Anambra State, if I look at the history of Anambra election, whatever, it has been violent. I can remember that it was the first time a sitting governor was kidnapped and taken to somewhere. It has been a violent state when it comes to politics. So it has been like that. But I equally blame the security forces for not the history of Anambra State. There are some states, if you want to conduct election to them, you have templates. You know what is going to happen there. Anambra is one. Rivers is one. Bayelsa is another place. If you want to conduct an election in those areas, you should roll up your sleeves. So, all in all, I still blame the Nigerian state for what is going on in whether Anambra or any other place. We have the capacity to ensure the security of Nigeria, and I mean it. But the capability, I don't know what is going on. Ambassador Keshi is right also to say, well, in the absence of this federal structure, what do we do? Do we wait? But some of these structures have to come in place to close the gap. But they're going to be coordinated. But remember that when they come in, they're coming to confront people, criminals that are armed. They're coming to confront people that are violent. How are you going to put down these threats that are violent and that are armed? You want to put down. That is the fear of some of us. When you, create that kind of a feeling inside them, there are rules and regulations, there are laws that can remove some of those violence in him and disarm him. But for some of these outfits that we can't control, I don't know. I stand to be corrected, but I have my fears. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cornelia Abara. Ambassador, well, away from the security architecture that has been put together, the South-South governors also talked about other things, one of which is the report or the outcome of the forensic audit investigation that was done on the NDDC. Several weeks after that report was submitted, nobody has said anything about it. What exactly is the expectation of the governors? Of that, they want it made public, but I mean, we have seen or heard snippets of what has gone on there and how the resources of that commission had been mismanaged in the past.
I think that the last point is the concern, you know, why they want it made public so that people could know exactly what is wrong or what has been wrong with the NDDC, and everybody would appreciate whatever decision is taken to make the organization stronger and be able to address the problem of the Niger Delta. That is far better than some people picking out one or two, as you call them, snapshots, and then accusing some people, and then you get a rejoinder, I was never involved or something like that. No, make it public. And in terms of making it public, if there are people who should pay a price for what has happened to the organization, look, I travel a lot to Port Harcourt, and I have visited NDDC office a couple of times in the past. And when I get to the NDDC office, the headquarters, you know, it is a mini Nigeria. It's a melting point. So when I see people say that, oh, this has been, the NDDC has been ruined by the people of the Niger Delta, I say no. NDDC has been ruined by all Nigerians, because people from here in Abuja, you know, give people notes to go to NDDC, and everybody does the same thing, you know. And from the beginning, I think the way the organization was set up is focused. You know, I've always had problems with it. Look, if when NDDC was set up, and NDDC was just given a few mandates, make sure there are good roads in the region. Infrastructure, just focus on infrastructure. Leave all this issue of today empowerment, tomorrow this, tomorrow that, you are just sharing money. Focus on making sure that the region has infrastructure. The narrative of that region would have changed today. And the failure to do this, and you just saddle with so many things, and as a result, it has lost direction, focus. It's what you are saying. And this is the concern of the governors. And the structure in place is not even helpful. The governors of the region has not much say in NDDC. They have no say in who is appointed. They are there as an advisory committee, but nobody listens to their views. And yet, in some places, in a couple of years ago, part of the challenge of the state government was that you find that exactly what the governors are doing, NDDC is doing the same thing. So money is being wasted. So what they wanted to do was
lack of coordination.
Lack of coordination.
Yes.
Let's find a way to put in this,
all right.
you know.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ambassador Joe Keshi is Director General of the South-South Governors
of the BRACE Commission.
BRACE Commission.
Yes.
Where they call it BRACE Commission. Of course, BRACE is an acronym for all the 6 states of the zone. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for finding the time to join us.
Thank you for having me.
Cornelia Abara is a security analyst. He joined us all the way from the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for your time and for the resources you put in joining us here. Thank you so much, Cornel.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. And of course, for our viewers out there, we want to thank you for investing your time with us on the program today. Please join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of People, Politics, and Power. Bye for now.